application, Flutter demo or application. Okay, these are the things we are going to focus on this workshop today. So, you people don't know about Flutter, or if you already know the Flutter, somewhat things you are planning to learn, and those who are trying to go in the mobile application development nowadays to get a job. So, for all these people, Flutter is very, very important. Even many of the people don't know. Approximately 10 to 20% of the people knows about Flutter, I think so. Majority of the people doesn't know what is Flutter and all. Okay, but our market, as of now, currently in our market, mostly the jobs are purely based on hybrid app development. So, if you observe the point here, the mobile app, whatever the mobile apps we are going to see in your Android phones or in your iOS phones, the mobile app development generally company will go with the native style of development and hybrid style of development. So these are the two different ways of developing your mobile apps actually. Native style of development and a hybrid style of development. So these are the two different ways of working with your mobile apps actually. Okay. Native style of development means, suppose for example, I want to develop a iOS app. iOS app. For this, what you need to do, you have to learn Objective C or Swift. This language you have to learn. Objective C is the old one, Swift language is advanced one, introduced by the Apple. Okay, so you can build this iOS app by learning this Objective C or Swift language. This programming language you have to learn uh, separately to build the iOS app. This is nothing but native style of development. Means whatever the language they provided, whatever the language they provided, you have to learn this language to build the iOS app. Means iPhone app or for your Apple related tablets. And even for if you want to develop a Android app, you have to learn either Java language or Kotlin. So Java or Kotlin, these languages you have to learn in order to build your Android application actually. Okay, got it what I'm saying? So why you have to learn these multiple languages? That is a question in the market. Because if you see in the company, if you want to develop a mobile application, the company must hire a employee who is having an experience on iOS. They have to hire the resource separately, and who is having an experience on the Java or Kotlin language, who is having the experience, that fellow can build this Android application. So you have to hire different employees separately. Why you have to take that much of burden? Why you have to do in the multiple implementation? Means you have to develop a code by using this language for iOS application development, and you have to use this language for developing Android application. That means finally you have to write a two different projects. You have to develop a two different projects. This is nothing but a native style of development. Native style means whatever the whatever the library they provided, you have to use that library. You have to depend on that library to build that application. That is native style. So, what is an advantage of native style of development? We have a lot of advantages. You have a full control on the device features end to end. What are the device features are there like camera, sensors, microphone, face detection, touch detection, okay, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, so many things. What are the features which are offered by your mobile? You can have a full control. You cannot go for the back step. That means you cannot think about whether this feature is supported or not. They, what are the features we have a requirement in your project, whether it is supported or not. No need to worry about these kind of things in the native style of development, because this is 100% support, because the language which was introduced by the Apple, Objective C or Shift language introduced by the Apple, this is dedicated for only for developing iOS apps only. So that means it will provide 100% support. What are the features which are there in the iPhone, even the latest iPhone or old iPhone, we have 100% support is provided by this language. Similarly, Java or Kotlin, by learning this language, you can develop 100% support for your Android phones nowadays. Got it? So this is about native style of development. Then coming to hybrid style of development. What do you mean by hybrid style of development actually? Hybrid style of development is nothing but the cross-platform. Hybrid style, you can also say it as cross-platform app. That means we are going to develop a code as one time. So we are going to write a code only one time, and that code is deployed into either iOS or Android phones automatically. So we are not going to learn a language separately for iOS or Android. No need to learn. A cross-platform app is nothing but a code. A code means nothing but a project. Whatever the project you want to develop, you are going to write a code only one time, and that code is nothing but your app, your mobile app, that you can install on your iOS directly, or you can run on your Android directly. So that's the advantage of cross platform app, hybrid style of development. Okay guys, you understand what I'm saying? So you can think about cross-platform app is nothing but the powerful feature. Hybrid style of development is more beneficial than the native style of development actually nowadays in the market, because I will hire only one developer, the developer who is having the knowledge on hybrid style. If I hire one developer, that developer, whatever the cross-platform app they developed, nothing but a hybrid app, they will write a code only one time, and I can install on iOS or Android. So no need to maintain the two different projects separately for iOS or for Android. Okay, that's the power of hybrid app development. Okay, so you understand how many ways to develop a mobile applications, native style and hybrid style. So it's up to the company requirement. It's based on the customer decision also. It is based on the customer decision also. Remember the point. So you can understand when to go for customer perspective. Whenever if customer wants fully native, customer means who is buying the project, that fellow. If customer wants that, okay, I want this application purely on native style only, whatever the suggestion, whatever the project requirement you have, the architect will decide whether to go for the native app style or hybrid style. Okay, so what are the cross platform frameworks are available in the market? Like for idea, we have a framework called Ionic. We have a framework called PhoneGap. We have a framework called Xamarin. So we have a framework called React Native. These are the different types of frameworks, cross-platform. You can learn these frameworks for developing a mobile application. So these are the wide variety of frameworks for developing the hybrid app development. Ionic, PhoneGap, Xamarin, React Native. All these are the different frameworks which are used for developing the cross-platform mobile application development. Okay. So to understand these frameworks, what was the basic knowledge you need to get an idea is JavaScript knowledge is required. Okay, except Xamarin. Xamarin is from Microsoft. You must have a knowledge on C# language to learn Xamarin. Other frameworks, Ionic, PhoneGap, and React Native, you need a JavaScript knowledge. Okay, so all these are cross-platform, hybrid application development only. So with the help of the JavaScript knowledge, you can go with any of the framework. Okay, but what is the importance of Flutter? We already have so many hybrid frameworks are available in the market already. Among that, React Native, Xamarin, PhoneGap, Ionic, all these are very good in the market. Then why Flutter introduced by the Google? Why Flutter has been introduced by the Google? What was the reason? Why? Because these frameworks are these frameworks are not controlling your device pixel by pixel. These frameworks are not controlling pixel by pixel. Pixel means the intensity. The intensity, whatever the screen you are going to see on the mobile, on the screen, whatever the data you are going to see, everything will be come with a coordination of pixels. So pixel is nothing but your intensity of the screen. So the resolution to resolution of the screen, the pixel size will be different. The pixel position will be different whenever screen resolution is changed. Suppose your mobile, every mobile, you can operate in the two modes actually. One is the landscape mode, another one is the portrait mode. We have a two different modes actually. Okay. So what do you mean by a portrait mode? Portrait mode means vertical direction. Portrait mode is nothing but a vertical direction actually. You can go for horizontal mode, that is nothing but a landscape mode. So whenever device orientation has been changed, what happens? Your pixel positions will be changed. So your frameworks like Ionic or PhoneGap or React Native or Xamarin also doesn't have a control on pixel by pixel. For example, if you see here, suppose I have a screen, this is in the portrait mode, and my mobile, if I rotate it into landscape mode like this, see the pixel orientation. What are the pixels which are there in this screen according to the resolution? The same position you cannot see in the landscape mode because the size is increased. The pixel positions are internally different, the location. So what happens at this time means, suppose I want to design a login screen. I want to ask the username and password, and I want to give some buttons like something like login and something like register. The buttons are there. Suppose I want to create this. So in this case, whatever the look I am seeing here, you can see that look like this in the central, or somewhat I want to bring to the corner. If I go with landscape mode, I will bring like this username and password and your login button, your cancel button. See, the remaining amount of space looks like empty because the pixel positions will be different from one device to another device. You know, right? In our market, we have a different resolutions, wide variety of screens which are there, like 5 inches mobile, 5.5 inches mobile, 6 inches mobile. Like that, we have a different screen resolutions available in the market. So what I am saying is, whatever the app, whatever the app you are going to develop, at the end of the day, your app must be compatible with all type of screen resolution. That was the challenge. Suppose if I install on the 5 inches screen, or if I install on the 6 inches screen, or if I am going with a landscape mode, or if I am working with the tablet. So whatever the screen resolution you are using, your app must work perfectly. That means what is the meaning? Whatever the look of user interface we are expecting, whatever the look of the user interface we are expecting, that look must be same. That look must be same across other resolutions of the screen also. It will not be in a different locations. That was the challenge. So that things you cannot manage easily with these frameworks because these frameworks doesn't have direct control on your mobile, no pixel to pixel. Okay, so ionic frameworks internally uses the concept called web view. So web view is a component used by the ionic framework internally. Means ionic internally uses the JavaScript bridge Ionic internally uses a JavaScript bridge to transform our code into your web components. Like an example, HTML button component, HTML input component, whatever it may be. So Ionic will take care about transforming whatever the code you developed on Ionic. Ionic internally uses your Angular framework actually. Ionic uses Angular as a framework, Angular JavaScript framework. With the help of that, you can develop the components. Means you can write a code, Angular code in the Ionic that will build on the web view actually. PhoneGap also uses JavaScript bridge only. Xamarin internally uses C# language, so to convert into the intermediate code. Everything is a bridge, man. Even reactive native is also having a bridge. So this is a overhead process. Without bridge is nothing but a transpiler, a converter to convert into different things. For example, I want to create a button using PhoneGap or Ionic, whatever it may be. Suppose you write some code, either by using Ionic or PhoneGap or whatever it may be, you write some code. And internally what happens means that code is converted into native code. That means in iOS, this is transformed into a class called UI button, and in Android, this will transform into the class called button. So this conversion means your JavaScript code is internally converted into the native code internally. For iOS, the code is converted into that respective class, and in Android that is converted into respective class. So this will, who will take care about this process means the bridge will take care actually. The bridge will take care about all these operations in the background. So this is an expensive operation. Performance problem will come during this process. And also we don't have a full control on the resolution of the screen. That is what the Flutter addressed. Getting my point or not? What the Flutter says is, Flutter says that Flutter says that we are not going to convert into native code implementation. Flutter comes with its own custom implementation. The Flutter framework introduced by the Google having its own custom implementation means it is having its own custom code. It will not convert into your UI button. Like an example I'm saying, it will not convert into iOS respective thing or Android respective thing. It will not do that. It will have, Flutter comes with its own implementation, internal code. That code will directly take a full control on the device. Full control means a pixel to pixel. It will control directly. There is no native code transformation. Got it, guys? What I'm saying. So that is what the main benefit of Flutter. So you no need to worry about if I develop a Flutter app. If I develop a Flutter app, exactly 100%, it will look like your real native app. Native app means if I develop a iOS app using objective language or Swift language, whatever the performance you see, whatever the look you see, exactly the same thing you can get from Flutter. So that is what the excellent thing, what you have to understand about the importance of the Flutter, guys. It is very, very important and interesting thing actually. So Flutter is fully a JavaScript based only. Flutter is fully a JavaScript based only. So what is the more importance of the Flutter is you can understand Flutter is developed by the Google. Okay, Flutter has been introduced by the Google, and Flutter is based on the programming language called Dart programming language. Flutter is developed on a programming language called Dart programming language. This Dart programming language is also introduced by the Google only. So by using this Dart programming language, you can develop a mobile apps, and also you can develop a web apps also, web application apps also, browser based apps. You can do with the help of the Dart programming language. So Dart programming language is a mixture of the C language syntax, C++ syntax, Java syntax, and C# syntax. So you can see all these varied varieties of syntaxes are there in the Dart programming language. So that people who came from the background of the C language or C++ or Java or C#, any developer can easily understand, can easily learn the Dart programming language. Who came from JavaScript background also, that fellow can easily learn Dart programming language, because this is not a reinvented one. Okay, this is not a new language, no new syntaxes or nothing. No need to struggle 2 months or 3 months to learn this language. Okay, because this is developed on the syntaxes of the C, C++, Java or C#. So almost it looks like same. If I came from Java background, within 1 or 2 days easily I can understand the Dart programming language. So very easy. So that's why I'm saying that the Dart programming language is a base of Flutter. Okay, you understand? So Flutter introduced in the year of 2018 by the Google officially. So 2017, 2018, these 2 years, Flutter has been taken the wonderful development, and so many improvements has been done by the Google towards the Flutter to meet the today's competition in the market. So now the companies are started working with the Flutter. You can see excellent market is there in the outside for the Flutter because of this reason only. So that's why in order to develop a Flutter application, you must know how this Dart programming language will work, or how to develop a Dart code. Okay, so today I am going to explain in my workshop some of the syntaxes, the common things which are used in the Flutter app development. I will introduce the syntaxes of the Dart, how to play with the Dart and all. You can really feel a lot of user friendly by writing the code and all, by working with the Dart programming language actually. Okay, so this is about the small introduction and what were the things you have to understand about Flutter initially. So now let's quickly start about understanding my Dart programming language basics. Okay, I already told you that the Dart programming language developed by the Google. This programming language introduced in the year of 2013, the Dart programming language, and officially This is 2013, the first version released. That is 1.0 version. Now, in the 2018 next version of the Dart published by the Google 2.0 in 2018. So Dart programming language is a open source, object oriented, and it is a strongly typed programming language, and it follows the basic syntaxes of Java, C Sharp, etc., or even JavaScript also. Okay, so why Flutter framework uses Dart as a base programming language? Because it is easy to learn. If you have some knowledge on Java or C Sharp or JavaScript, it's extremely easy for you. Okay, and productivity is very good. Productivity means easy to read, easy to understand the code, and easy to debug the code. If any problem encountered, easy to understand and easy to debug. It can transpile into JavaScript. Your Dart is internally transpiled into the JavaScript code to maximize compatibility with your web development. You can use this Dart for client side, server side, and mobile application development also. Okay, Google internally uses this Dart programming language for any kind of operations and all those things. So now, before going to start about my Flutter application, developing the first mobile application on the Flutter, what you guys need to do is I'm going to show you how to play some kind of basics, some syntaxes of working with a Dart programming language we are going to play. How to play it means we are going to use one of our emulator, that is online thing as provided by the Dart community. Okay, the Dart community has been provided this online that is known as Dartpad. Dartpad is one kind of online library or IDE. You can play with the code, whatever the code you like. You can play it according to the requirement. So this is what the main important and interesting thing, how I am going to say whether the Flutter is purely based on the Flutter app development or something like you can say how we are going to play with uh, okay, so who can answer this type of Android app development with the help of more about the benefits what we are going to start right now here. So the Dartpad, you can see this is the most online tool as introduced by the Dart community, dartpad.lang.org. This is the URL. So in this pad, so this is an official site maintained or introduced by the Dart community, dartpad.lang.org. From this community, okay, you can introduce or you can play with the Dart syntaxes. This is what a console. Whatever the code you developed, you can see the Dart code. So you can play all the syntaxes of the Dart. You can play it from here without going to jump into the Flutter. So this is an official one introduced by the Dart. Okay. So usually If you see here, the main method, the main is a entry point in every Dart application, like in other programming languages also. Main method is an entry point of our application. So that is the most important thing. So the Dart programming language, more interesting thing we are going to see here. The main method will take care about all these operations in the background. Okay, it's an entry point of the Dart application. Exactly, it looks like JavaScript code only, or Angular or something like that. But you can play with small plays. Let's remove this code, and I can type now void main. As I told you, main is an entry point in the Dart programming language. So you can simply declare string name is equals to Sai. So you can declare variable with a respective type actually. Whenever if you mouse over on that, you can see the documentation, how the string has been implemented, okay, inside the Dart library. You can read it. This is a local variable, and in order to print this, you are using a function called print. There was a hello, and there is no plus operator like this. Okay, you cannot use a plus name like this, like concatenation. In the Dart, what you can do is instead of plus name, hello Sai, this is concatenation, right? This is more dynamic data, hello Sai or something. So instead of using plus operator, you can use the Dart syntax like dollar name instead of plus operator. Directly in the course, you can say dollar of your variable. Then if you hit the run button, you can see the output as same what I'm showing here. So it is more concise instead of plus the concatenation. Concatenation means merging the data. It will create a overhead process internally here. Okay. So you can see hello. The main function, as I told you, that it is a starting point, or even in our Flutter application also, you can see main is an entry point of your application. Okay. So simply dollar sign is a syntax of the Dart, inserting in without closing or without writing the plus operator combination. Okay, you can use it instead of, this is a type variable. Type variable means, I told that name is bounded with a type called string. You cannot assign name is equals to 100. It's impossible. Name is equals to 100, you cannot assign, because name is a variable you declared with a type called string. This is a type variable. So to this name, you can assign only the string type. You cannot assign the numerical value or something like that. If I give this, you will get an error. See, a value of type int cannot be assigned to variable of type string. Okay. So for example, see here, instead of var name is equals to Sai, you can use single quote or double quote to represent the string content. So whenever if I say var name is equals to Sai, var is nothing but declaring the variable only. Name is equals to Sai. Whenever if I hit the run, you can see the same output, no change. Hello Sai will come. What is the meaning here is, see here, Dart automatically understand, even though if we are not declared as a string type, whenever if I declare a variable, the dot compiler, dot is having its own compiler, dot is having DVM, dot, not Dalvik virtual machine, dot virtual machine. Okay, dot virtual machine is going to execute this code. It will convert into the dot code is internally converted into JavaScript code at the runtime on the fly. So even though if we are not declared the string type, the dot compiler automatically understand based on the given content. Based on the given content, it automatically understand. Okay, this variable type is a string type. Automatically it understand. For example, if I assign name is equals to 10, then see here, whenever if I assign name is equals to 10, automatically it gives an error. A value of type int cannot be assigned to variable of type string. See here, we are not declaring any string type. We just declare var name is equal to Sai. Initially, whatever the value we assign to that respective variable, based on the type of value, automatically the type is assigned internally. This is known as dynamic type allocation. The dot will take care about the dynamic type allocation. No need to declare the variable as a string or int, nothing like that. Automatically it will take care about that. Okay. So there is some kind of situations are there. There is some kind of situations are there. What type of situations? Mostly like whenever if you deal with variable, suppose I want to frequently change my variable value. Okay, I want to change my value. Suppose now instead of var name Sai, name is equals to 10, in dot we have a type called dynamic. You can tell to the dot, this variable is dynamic. That means don't assume as a fixed type. Whenever if I say variable with a dynamic type, dynamic name is equal to Sai main. Now see here, it is just creating as a local variable only. Flutter doesn't assume this type is string. It is not fixed because you mentioned to the dot this variable is dynamic. Means you can assign any type of value in the future. Suppose to the name, I can enter the integer value is equal to 24. Now dot will not give any compilation error. So if I run the code now name will come assigned with a value called 24. Okay. So like this way, you can use the dynamic variables also. This is one of the excellent feature in the dot. So whatever the variable you declared, you can make that variable as a dynamic variable. Okay, you can do that dynamic variable. You can assign any type of value to that variable. If we are not mentioned the variable as dynamic, if I say var name is equals to something, or if I say string, you cannot assign other type of value. Whatever the value you assign to that respective type, the type will be fixed. You cannot change it. This is dynamic type allocation. Okay, guys, this is the basic syntax initially what you need to do. Similarly, you can write, you can call the functions also. For example, let's say double, I can say calculate sum, double calculate sum, my method or function. You can declare the parameters like double with or double a comma double b. I have a two parameters right now. So now what I will do, I will calculate the sum of two number. I will say return a plus b. So what happens here, the calculate sum is a method or a function. It is accepting the two parameters. These are typed parameters. Typed means always you can pass only the double value to this. and you can calculate the sum of two numbers. What are the values you passed? Then you can return that value. So simply I can say like print inside the print function. I can say sum is plus calculate sum 20.9 comma 30.0. So whatever the sum of two numbers you have, you can see what happens. See here, the calculate sum method, the calculate sum. I already told you Dart is a typed programming language. If you observe, calculate sum. After calculating the sum of two numbers what you supplied, it returns the double value. But if you see here the print function, we are passing the print function with a string content. Content is string, sum is plus we want to concat this integer value, double value. It's not possible. It will not do concatenation automatically. So Dart will think like in that way. So what you have to do is you can solve this problem by invoking a method called toString. You can transform the data, calculate sum, calculate sum, whatever the value which was there, whatever the calculate sum you are doing, once the double value you will get, on the double value you are calling the method called toString to convert into the string representation. Like that you can print value. Okay, so you cannot directly concat it because the content what is shown there, now you can see sum is 50.9. So you cannot pass directly to that respective content actually here, what I mean to say. Okay, so calculate sum will take care about calculating the sum of two values. Similarly, you can write another print function. Inside the print function, calculate sum. I can pass 10 comma 20. Now, if you see here, to the another print function, I am directly passing calculate sum. I am calling calculate sum 10 comma 20. In the print function, directly I am calling calculate sum. No string. Here, no need to convert dot to string. Why? Because Dart understands that to the print function we are directly passing some value so that it will accept, because print is a overloading method. Print can accept a string or print can accept a integer, print can accept float or double. It's a overloading method. It will accept any type of value. Okay. So, but here why you are getting error? Because this is concatenation. You know, Dart is a typed language. So I mentioned we are passing the single quote tells to the Dart we are passing a string content, as well as you want to concat the value written from the calculate sum. But the calculate sum written value is a numerical value. That's why you have to convert that value into the string, and then you have to concat it both. If you are passing the direct value like this, no problem. So you are passing 10 comma 20. No worries. No need to pass the value. That 10 is internally converted into double. Automatically casting will be done in the background by the Dart. So whenever if I say calculate sum is 50.9, next sum is 30, it will automatically will take care about that conversion process in the background. Okay. So this is how the background thing will work. Okay, guys. In Dart 2.1 version, in Dart 2.1 version, int is automatically converted into double. If you go to the legacy version dot 1.0, this facility is not there. From 2.x version of the dot compiler automatically converts int to double. Okay, automatically will take care. So remember the point here. And also you can pass, suppose I want to invent a method calculate sum. Instead of calculate, I want to write the method. I am going to introduce another important thing. You can declare optional parameter also. So optional parameter is nothing but if you are not passing that parameter, it will not do anything in the background. For example, see here, along with that, optional parameters in the dot, you have to mention in the square brackets like this. Optional parameters you have to mention in the square brackets. Then what you have to do, suppose there is a type called boolean. Bool is nothing but a boolean. You cannot type boolean completely. So the type is bool and the variable is uh, division. Okay, this is the optional parameter. So like how we are declaring a normal parameters, you can declare optional parameter in the dot by mentioning that variable in the flower bracket actually. By mentioning that variable in the flower bracket. Okay. So bool type is division. Bool type is division actually. The type what you are going to mention. Okay, this is an optional parameter. Whenever you want, you can pass it. So here how we'll write a logic. If division, if you supply the division property as true, if you supply the division property as true, what happens at that time? If you supply it, then we want to calculate the division, return a by b. We want to divide the two values if division. Else, if it is not a division, I can return sum of two numbers, a plus b. So like this, you can write a code in the dot. Whenever if you want to declare an optional parameter in the dot, whenever if you want to declare an optional parameter in the dot, you can mention that variable and that respective type in the square bracket. So how to invoke this method now? It's same story. You can call the print inside the print function, calculate. I can give 10 comma 20. I am giving the third argument as false. So what happens at this time? We supplied the false to this boolean variable. You supplied the false to the boolean variable. So now whenever if you run the code, it will calculate the sum of two numbers, 30. Now similarly, print calculate 100 by 20 comma true. We pass it the boolean value true. So now what happens at this time? If I run the code, it will show the division of the second value, the quotient, whatever the quotient you have, you will get that value. Suppose for example, print calculate 100 comma 50. Now we are not passing any boolean value, we are just passing 100 comma 50. So whenever if I run it, so you get an error, assertion failed, boolean expression must not be null. That means what is the meaning here? The boolean value you can assign the default value to that respective variable. Okay, so you can play with whatever the thing you want. You can play with the respective application. Okay, overloading, overloading, you know, right? Method overloading. You can use that feature in Java or C++ plus plus in your languages. You can write a method with the same name but different argument list with a type. You can write it, but you can for loops, normally for loop or while loop or do while loop, you can use it according to your choice. All are supported by the Dart. And also you can use the methods of the string, whatever the method of the string you want. Suppose if I want to reverse the string content, if I want to reverse the string content, if you want, you can apply that string content. Whenever the string content you want, you can apply it accordingly. Okay, so this is what you need to understand about the reverse function. For example, there was a type called string with a method called reverse. I will write string I some variable, I will declare it here. Inside this, the return type of this method is reverse. Then I can use int length is equals to the length of the string. There is a method called, see here, I dot length. Length is a method available in the string to get the total length of the string. What was the given string we have, you will find the length of the string. String I will declare the result of the string. Initially I will take it as empty of the string, and I can use the for loop for int I is equals to length minus 1. The logic of the reverse is starting from the last. Length minus 1 means to get the actual index position, because internally string uses a character array. Internally string uses a character array. You know the range of index position is started from 0. So that's why to reverse the string I'm subtracting with the minus 1 of the length, and that's the initial value. And if I is greater than or equals to 0, until the I greater than or equals to 0, I minus minus, this is the loop to run in the reverse order. Then what I will do, whatever the character we are iterating, response of the string or result of the string, res plus is equals to means it is equal to res is equal to res plus. Without that, I am using the shortcut like this. Res plus is equal to my given string content I dot. There is a method called, see, this I is different. This I is a local variable and this variable is of the same name. So I can give content dot length. So I can say simply like content dot substring. Substring is a method of the string. You can pass your I value, index position, which character you want, and I plus 1. Okay, you can apply that value, and you can get that each character you can attach it, and finally you can return response result of the string. So print, to the print function I can call the method reverse. I can give the content psi. So whatever the content of the string you pass it to the revert, then whenever that function is called, that code is executed, and you can see the reverse of the content what we have, something like that. Okay, so you can play with all these properties of the string. What are the methods we have, and the substring, the length operation, everything remains same only. So similarly, I would like to introduce another basic feature of the Dart. Why I'm telling all these things mean actually why I'm doing actually, because yes, you can provide a default value also. If you want, you can provide it. I'll show you. So you can use the another important features of the string is arrow syntax and the ternary operation. Arrow syntax is, for example, see here, I will show you the another powerful feature. Suppose I want to write one simple method which will return a boolean value, bool convert to bool long. I want to convert the boolean value to long initially here, bool long, the value here. Suppose I will pass the value int value here. Suppose if value is equals to 1, I want to say return false. Else, other than the value 1, if you give any other value, I want to say return true. This is a simple logic, okay? What this convert to bool long means, if we supply the value 1, we are returning false. Otherwise, you are returning true. Okay. Now let's see here. If I write like this, convert to bool long, and you can pass the value, suppose 1, it will execute the code and it will show you the value here will come as false. Simple logic, guys, nothing great in this application. Normally, if you consider the logic like this, without writing this huge amount of code, you can write the same function by using the arrow feature. Bool convert to bool, my function name, something like that. It will accept a single parameter int value. Then without writing the function body like this, you can use the arrow function. Arrow is denoted like this, arrow function, and you can write the condition. What was the condition? The condition you can write in the parenthesis like this. If value is equals to 0, if this condition is true, if value is equals to 0, then you have to give question mark and you can return false. If value is equals to 0, it returns false if this condition is satisfied. Else means colon. Else means colon. You can simply return true. See how easy it, guys, which is a shortcut expression. So directly I can say print convert to bool. I can say G1, something like that. Now run the application. True. See, arrow functions are more useful if your code contains hardly 2 to 3 lines code. If your code is having 2 to 3 lines of code, you can simply return. No need to write a return statement for arrow function. No need to say return false. No need to say return true. Return is not required in the arrow. Automatically it will take. So condition. What was the use? What was the syntax of arrow function? In order to write a arrow function, declare the function name. Okay, and define how many number of parameters which was accepting by that function, and this is the arrow, and what was the condition you want to write it, you can write that condition here. And if the condition is not satisfied, if it is true, if the condition is satisfied, question mark means this body will be executed if condition is true. Colon means if the condition is false, then you are returning true. Shortcut operation. Arrow functions are very useful if your code is having 2 to 3 lines of code or 3 to 4 lines of code with a condition based. You can replace this into arrow function. It's a very shortcut operation here. Simplify writing a code whenever if we have a single return statement. Similarly, see, if you want one more example, simply like if we have one more example, say like an example, string, say hello. I want to say hello. I will write one function, say hello. I want to take a single parameter string name. Okay. So arrow function, and here no need to use question mark colon because no condition. Simply I will say hello dollar name. Even you can say dollar name, or you can say plus name. Both will work. Concatenation. So simply I can say print say hello Sai. Run the code. Hello Sai. See how easy it is. So arrow functions are more useful whenever if your code is having 3 to 4 lines of code. If we have 10 lines of code, 13 lines of code, that is more than 5 lines of code if you have, then don't go for arrow function. Directly write the function body. This is the best coding practice. Function, a normal function is required whenever if your code is having more than 5 lines. If you have less than 5 lines, then you can go with the arrow function. It is an excellent feature. This is supported by Dart 2.0. Okay, guys. This is known as ternary expression. Question mark followed with a colon. This is known as ternary expression, and this is known as arrow. So these are the excellent features which are supported by Dart actually. Okay. So Dart is also supported to collections. Dart is also supported to collections actually. The main important and interesting thing actually. Yes, operator you can use it. So Dart can be used with collections. I will show you here. For example, string void my method name add book. This is my method name. I want to accept the name of the book. So whatever the book you added, so whatever the name of the book you added, this book usually you can store it something like where books. Books means the variable type is equal to, you can assign list with the generic type as a string. No need to write a new list like this, not required. The new operator is automatically added by the Dart compiler. The list object is automatically created, and that object address assigned to this reference books. No need to say where books is equals to new list. The new operator automatically it will take care in the background to perform with a books whatever it may be. So where books is equals to list of string. So what happens here? This books will add list of books, whatever the books of name. You can add books dot. You can call the method add. Add is a method belongs to the list type. To the add method, book one, I can add the content. Books dot add. I can add the content called book two. You can add the content like this, book two. Similarly, you can add your dynamic name also, books dot add of name. Whatever the book name you passed, that name also you can add. So no need to write the new operator for creating any object. So you can directly assign where books is equal to list string. Suppose now if I want to print books, you can print all the things. Then you can write void main. Main is an entry point to start. Add book guide to Flutter. So to the add book method, we passed a string content book name guide to Flutter that will be stored in the name variable. So and we are going to add all the things here. Now let's run the code. So Dart is supported book one, book two, guide to Flutter. Dart is supported to collections also. So Dart is supported to the generic type safety. That means we are mentioning that the list object, whatever the list object assigned to this reference books, this list accepts only string type value, type safety. This is known as generic. You cannot add books dot add of 20. It's not possible. This is integer value. You will get an error. The argument type int cannot be assigned to the parameter type string because you already mentioned with the type as a string like this. Okay, so you can understand about Dart is supported to the object also. Okay, so now you can understand here how you can use. You can also use for each method like normal for loop, while loop. You people knows everything, right? Now Dart uses for each loop. For each loop means you can iterate the data from the list collection books dot. I can simply call the method for each. To this for each method, you can write a function. You can write a function which will execute every time. You can write a function. You can pass the function as an argument that will invoke every time for printing the data. Okay, without writing the function separately, you can use the arrow feature. See how I am using arrow feature? In the parameter, I will take parenthesis is required, book, some variable name, and arrow function, followed with arrow function. So what this arrow function will do, arrow function will keep on iterating each and every data from the string. So whatever the data we are iterating, so you can iterate it. So you can say system dot or print function. I can print book. See how simple it is. You can write the function body here. You can write function body. If it is a single statement, open body and closing body is not required. If you write more than one logic, you can write open body and closing body like this. Okay, guys? Open body and closing body is required after the arrow function if we have more than one line code. If we have a single line of code, no need to write open body and closing body. So what this for each function, what this for each loop will do mean, for each loop iterates each and every book, means each and every string element, because the list contains string element. It iterates each and every string element by internally checking the condition that value is stored. Each string element is stored in this variable book, and this is function body, print book, that will print each and every book. Book 1, book 2, guide to Flutter. So like this way, you can handle more things in our application accordingly here. Okay, so this is one of the most important and interesting features which are available in the part of our application for each method. All these are dot fundamentals only, guys. You can use map function also. Like for each function, we have a map. Map is just for transforming, guys. Books dot. Suppose what are the string elements are there in the books. Suppose I am writing a function called map. So what this map function will do means, map function will take each and every data. Means you can take book, you can write an arrow function. You can write an arrow function, and I can say book dot to uppercase. You can transform the letters into the uppercase, and that uppercase value you can return in the form of capital books, some variable. That list will be assigned to the capital books. Print capital books like this. Now run again. So now what happens, see here, what the map will do means, this map function takes, this map function internally uses the for each only to iterate each string element from the list. On that list, what we are doing on that element, we are converting into the uppercase. That converted uppercase is added into the new list. That means map creates a new list collection. Again, it creates a new list collection. Whatever the transforming is done, whatever the conversion is done, this converted value added into the new list. So map is one of the function, more powerful. To transformation purpose only we are using actually. Okay. Similarly, like Java and C# programming languages, you can use normal classes also. Suppose I can write a class employee. class employee, you can declare the type string name int age. I can declare the properties like this. I can declare the properties like this. You can create an object for that respective class. Void main. You can declare it employee emp is equals to, no need to say new employee. You can directly assign employee of no argument. This is nothing but constructor calling only as usual. No need to say new employee. Employee with a reference called emp. This emp is binded to the type called employee, and we are assigning employee object to this variable emp. Okay, so I can simply say print dot emp dot name print of emp dot age. You can access it in the same way, same story. You can access that object values. Initially, this name and age contains a default values called null. By default, default will be assigned. Okay, you can change the values here. Emp dot name is equals to size. Emp dot age is equal to 34. Now, whenever if I say print emp dot name print emp dot age, you can print those respective values now as Sai and 34. You can get those respective values accordingly. You can get that respective values accordingly. Like this, you can handle it, age values. Okay. Same story, how you do with Java and C#. Okay. But no need to say new operator. Even though if you write new operator, that doesn't worry about that, because that will take care about by using the new operator only, it will create an object for your respective class, and that object address assigned to that reference emp. Without writing the new operator, this is a shortcut expression. Directly you can assign it. Okay. So without writing this print into multiple statements, I can write into the same statement also, right? You can use the dollar expression, guys, in the single quote, dollar of, you can give the dollar body emp dot name, comma, dollar of emp dot age. You can print like this. This is a wonderful syntax. So it will print it a single statement, Sai and 34. See how it is easy, how it is user friendly. So remember the point. There are couple of another interesting feature, like how you declare the class. Remember, name and age, whatever the name and age variables you declared, you can access these variables from outside the class. But in Dart, remember there are no identifiers such as private or public. Got it, guys? No identifiers such as private or public. No identifiers, guys. Private, public, protected, no identifiers, please. Suppose if you want to make this variable to be accessible only inside a class, suppose if I say underscore, if I say underscore name, whenever the variable you define with the underscore in the class, Dart doesn't allow you to access this variable outside like this. You cannot access like this. it will give an error. Clear? Underscore character is there. Whenever if you declare any variable with underscore, dot doesn't allow you to know access from the outside. Okay? So remember, no constructors are as usually same. You can write constructors according to your requirement also. Suppose for example, employee, it will take string name comma int age. You can declare the two parameterized constructor like this. This dot name is equals to name. This dot age is equals to age. You can write like this, the constructor. This dot name means it will refer to your variable, class variable. And this name is nothing but local variable. So this is two parameterized constructor. You know, right? Constructor is nothing but the name to be same as class name. And the constructor is invoked only one time in the object creation. So I can assign like this without writing like this. EMP name is Sai. You can pass, and age is 34. You can pass like this. Two parameterized constructor. So whenever if you run, you'll get the same output. No difference. And now see here, if I declare this both variables, if I say underscore name and underscore age, if I declare like this, you cannot access the variables like this. Suppose if I say the method called get employee details, my method arrow function, okay, so I will return dollar of name comma dollar of age. So simply I will write the shortcut expression dollar of name and dollar of age. You can omit these brackets also. So get employee details. Whenever if you declare these variables as underscore, you can access it. Hold a moment, I got one call. Okay, so what happens here? This arrow function, whenever if I declare underscore name and underscore age, these variables you cannot use like this. You can access the variables. These are restricted variables only. You can access these variables with a combination of access whenever if I say underscore name and underscore age. These variables are accessible in that respective class only. You cannot access from outside. So then simply I can say print get employee details. I can call the function like this. Okay, now hit the run button. It will return the string type. The method returns the string type. get employee details. Okay, employee details is a method belongs to employee class. You have to use the reference emp dot get employee details. You have to call with a reference because you declared in the class. So it invoke the method and it will get. But these variables you cannot access with the reference directly. It's not possible. You cannot say emp.name or you cannot say emp.age. According to that, it will take care. Okay, you understand what you are going to say. So this is about some of the basics. Dart is always, if you want, what is the another important and interesting thing from here is always you have to pass name and age, right? Sometimes there is a requirement like I don't want to pass any parameters. I don't want to pass any parameters, or I want to pass only one parameter. So if you want to make the variables as optional, put them in the square bracket like this. Whenever if I declare string name comma int age, these two variables in the constructor, whenever if you mention in the square bracket, it is optional. Optional means what is the meaning? Even though if you are not passing any value, it will not worry. The Dart will not worry. It just will create an employee instance with no values. Default values will be assigned as null. So you can hit the run. It will not get any error. Null and null will be assigned. Suppose if you want to pass only name, you can omit age. No problem. You can run that value. Age will be ignored because that is optional. Like that. So this is one of the excellent and interesting and cool feature of the Dart. You understand, guys, what I'm saying? So that is the most important and interesting thing what you need to understand about the error here. So this is the most another cool feature I will tell you guys. Without writing the constructor like this, without assigning the values to the respective variables, you can write like this also. How will show you. Constructor you can write like this also in the shortcut. Employee of this dot name, this dot underscore name, this dot underscore age. You can directly assign like this. Constructor body, you can directly assign like this. Okay, guys? Not required. No need to say. Whenever if I say in the constructor parameters only directly I'm saying this dot underscore name, this dot underscore age. What is the meaning here? Whatever the value you passed, what are the values you pass it to the constructor sai comma 20, these values are assigned directly to the age. No need to write this dot name is equals to name, this dot age is equals to age. Not required. It's a shortcut expression. Directly it will be add. This is one of the most coolest thing what you have to understand, guys. Guys, you understand? Hope the Dart features. Any questions, please let me know. The Dart features discussion. I have given the most of the features. So many things we have played with the Dart. So we understand what is the powerful thing and how we are going with the Dart and all those things. We had a discussion up to now. We had a great discussion happened with the Dart combination. Now this is the right time to talk with the Flutter. What is Flutter and what is an importance of the Flutter. Once after understanding the Dart programming language fundamentals, these are the basics you must know to understand about the Flutter code. Okay, so what is Flutter and what is an importance of the Flutter? We are going to talk right now. Okay, so now let us move on to our next topic called Flutter project. So, what is Flutter? I already told you that Flutter is a framework which was developed by the Google on the base of Dart programming language. So, by using the Dart programming language only, we are going to develop a Flutter code. So, without Dart programming language, you cannot use the Flutter framework. So, our Flutter contains two important components. Flutter comes with the two things: Flutter framework, Flutter SDK. Our Flutter contains two important components: Flutter framework and the Flutter SDK. There are the two components which comes with the part of Flutter: Flutter framework and Flutter SDK. What is Flutter framework? Flutter framework contains combination of predefined methods and predefined classes. Flutter framework provides a collection of predefined classes and predefined methods which are used for developing your app greatly. Reusable UI components. In order to create a button or in order to create a radio button, text field, password, menus, adding the images, applying the colors, whatever it may be. Even though you can create custom components also, custom UI components also, according to your own. In Flutter terminology, each component we are calling it as a widget. Every UI component is known as widget. The terminology. A button is a widget, a text field is a widget, a drop down is a widget. Any UI component in the Flutter terminology is known as widget. Okay? Everything is a widget in Flutter. Flutter app, if you take any Flutter app, what are the components you are going to see on the screen? Everything is a widget. Okay? By using this Dart programming language, we are going to prepare widgets only. We are going to write a UI components actually. So that is the specialty of widget actually. Hello. So this is the most important and interesting thing, the cool feature, the Dart programming language, how we are going to do with the Flutter actually. Okay guys? So Flutter internally uses Dart compiler to transform your Dart code into JavaScript code internally that will be executed by Dart virtual machine. So Flutter framework internally will take care about providing all the predefined classes and functions in order to develop a Flutter application. Flutter SDK provides some set of tools which are used for compiling the Dart code into JavaScript code and to execute the JavaScript code and to load your code on your emulator or simulator or real mobile device. You can do it. You can connect with anything here. So that is what the cool thing of the Flutter point of view, what you need to understand here. So now actually we need to take care about how this Flutter will come up into the picture actually. So what were the most important and interesting things of the Flutter? I'm going to show you how to download the Flutter and how to set up the Flutter on your mobile. We are going to talk about all these fundamental things right now here. Okay. So now there is an official website called flutter.io. There is an official website called Flutter. This was maintained by the Google Flutter website. From this Flutter website, you can download all the Flutter latest things. What are the documents you have, community we have, any error you will get, you can connect with the team. Documents means how to start and what were the samples of the Flutter. Okay, this is an official documentation given from the Google. Okay, you can go with this. And also how to set up Flutter, how to install it on the Flutter, Windows, Mac or Linux. You can use it on Windows. Operating system must be minimum Windows 7 or greater version. 400 MB minimum required. You need to download the Git. You need to download the Git software for Windows. You have to do all these things. Okay. So you have to download the Flutter SDK. The zip file will be there. You can download this zip file and you can extract it, the file into the location, and you can copy the path of the Flutter in the environment variables, like how you configure the Java path, you can configure it. Okay. And finally, what you need to do, see here, I already have my Flutter SDK. Flutter I already downloaded. This is the Flutter, the zip file what I downloaded, what I shown here. And in that you can go to the folder called bin. You have to copy this path up to the bin, and you have to go to properties, advanced system settings, environment variables. Path we already configured here. This was the path which was already configured for the Flutter. Okay, so once the path is set up, you can open the command prompt. In the command prompt, what you have to do is you have to say Flutter doctor. Flutter is a command, and the doctor says that the Flutter will do the analysis. What type of software is available in your machine? Okay, whether Android is available or not, whether iOS is installed or not, you can check with the help of Flutter doctor. Remember, whenever if you want to develop a Flutter for iOS and Android, make sure you must have a Mac machine, Mac operating system to be installed on your Flutter actually. Mac machine to be installed on our Flutter. Okay. Without installing the Mac machine, you cannot continue with the Flutter for iOS. If you are using Flutter for Android, That means I can develop a code on the Flutter, but to test the Flutter on your iPhone devices, then you have to use Mac machine for testing purpose. For Android, no problem. Android is open source. I can run on my Windows machine or I can run on my Mac machine. Okay? But you will write a code only one time. That is the most important thing. Okay, guys? You understand, right? So, now the next step is I would like to create a new project right now. mkdir hello world. Remember, file names doesn't have here hello world. Sorry, hello world is the app name, not a file name. Remove directory hello world. mkdir Flutter workshop. cd space Flutter workshop. I have created now. In this, how to create a new Flutter application. What was the command you have to use to create a new Flutter application? In order to create a new Flutter application, what you need to do? Flutter space, the command Flutter space, create space. Create is a command in order to create a Flutter application. And you can give what was the application name you want to create. What was your application name? I can simply say hello underscore world. Remember, app name cannot be with hyphen. You cannot give any hyphen in between the names. You cannot give any white spaces between the names. You can give underscore to separate between word to word. This will create a new Flutter application. Okay, this automatically it will create a new skeleton Flutter application, and this application will be run on both iOS and Android. This is a default application which contains all the default files. Now, if you want to go cd space whatever the Flutter app I created, hello world. This is my Flutter app. Okay. Now I already have the IDE called Visual Studio Code. I already downloaded this IDE. You can use any IDE, your choice. You can develop the Flutter code on the Visual Studio, or you can use Android Studio, or in your iOS you can use VS Code, Xcode, sorry, Xcode you can use it. Okay, on any IDE you can develop the Flutter app. Okay, so you can simply say Flutter run. Whenever if I say Flutter run, this command will execute your application. See here, whenever if I say Flutter run, what this command will say, no supported devices connected. Means you are not plugged any mobile. Your mobile USB, you have to connect it for real device. If you want to run on the emulator, I already have the Android Studio installed. I already have my Android Studio. I have an emulator called KitKat. I can run the KitKat emulator right now. So these emulators are there. Let's start the emulator. KitKat is already running. Where it is running, man? Okay, let's start another emulator. Something like Pi emulator. So we are starting the emulator without connecting the device. You can run the emulator even in Xcode also, in your iPhone also. You can run iPhone simulator. If you install the Android Studio, you can set up this emulator. It doesn't matter. Once you start your emulator, whenever your emulator is up, you can run this Flutter app. Flutter automatically will connect to that respective emulator, and your application is installed on that emulator automatically. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So Flutter will do all these things for you. This Flutter emulator will take care about the process, how we are going to handle it according to our application. Once your emulator is up, you can run that Flutter emulator accordingly. The emulator is already started. This is known as Android emulator. Okay, this is known as Android emulator. Once your emulator is up, you can say whether it is Flutter is detected or not. You can say Flutter doctor. Now, Flutter is connected. One device is connected automatically. Connected device. See here, it detects my Android software what I installed. My Android Studio is detected. My VS Code is detected. My emulator is also automatically connected by Flutter. So now you can directly run and install that Flutter application. Flutter run. Whenever if I say Flutter run, what this Flutter will do, it uses your Android software internally. It will convert your code into that whatever the dot code is there in the Flutter application, that code is converted into your Android native code. Means the custom implementation of the Flutter will take care internally, and your app will install. Once it automatically launches your app on your emulator, it will take care about that. Okay, so now let's wait. It will take some amount of time. Gradle is nothing but it is a build tool internally used by the Flutter. Gradle is a build tool internally used by the Flutter to compile and build your application automatically. The Flutter will take care about all this process in the background. See, it doesn't matter whether if you are using Android emulator or iOS emulator, whatever it may be, automatically Flutter will connect to that emulator. Not only emulator, if you plug your USB cable of your device to your phone, automatically it will detect it. Okay. So that will take care by Flutter in the background operation. So Flutter will do all these things for you. So in the first time it will take some time actually to install the Flutter app. Okay, it will do some operations in the background. Once that operations has been completed, it will show you. This is taking an unexpectedly long time. It is showing the message just for your idea. So let's wait once this code is executed on the emulator. Any questions, guys? Up to now, it will take some time. You can ask the questions, guys. You can type in the chat. I'm ready to answer any doubts related to uh, the things what we discussed today. Yes, guys, I'm going to take the course. The batch will start shortly. In the next week, you can connect with the management. Your details are available with the management. This is a workshop. I'm giving very briefly about the discussion of the workshop, guys. But I want to discuss all things in detail. Very depth will talk about the Flutter and most important course. The course duration hardly it will take 2 months. I will cover Dart programming language, all the things of the Dart programming language, syntaxes, means how I will go my course is. First, we'll start with a course about the introduction of the Flutter, and we'll discuss about some Dart programming language syntaxes. Then after that, we'll start some couple of applications on the Flutter. Then again, we'll see some more syntaxes of the Dart. Again, by using the syntaxes, we'll see some more examples. Like that, we'll use. Then after that, we'll see the advanced features, like how to access the device features like camera, Bluetooth, networking, how to read the contacts, how to play the music, how to play the video. We'll see all the device features, how to connect with the web services, how to make a request, and all those things you can see in the Flutter. Everything. So end to end, all the concepts with the latest things I will update in the course. Okay. So next week we are going to start a session. A new batch is going to start. Naresh IT is launching the first batch of the Flutter, and it is a very good market. And more important and interesting things will be goes on. So that's why you people need to keep a watch on that update. You can contact to the management when my new batch is going to start. Next week only they will start, and you can attend to that. JavaScript knowledge and basic fundamentals of any programming language is benefit input actually. You can go it. Any other questions, please? Any questions? Any questions, guys? Up to now, what we discussed? Is it clear? Any more questions? No one is asking the question. Yeah, Flutter app is installed on your emulator. So now you can see the beautiful Flutter app is there. This is an app, Flutter demo homepage. If you click on the button, the value is incrementing, just as a demo application. By defaultly, the code is automatically written, Flutter app. So now I will show you the code, how to enter into the code. This is Control C if you escape from that. So app will be automatically uh, that come out of that. Then whenever after installing your VS Code, Visual Studio Code, I recommend you people to go for VS Code editor, because in my class I will show on the VS Code as well as on the Android Studio also how to develop the Flutter code. Okay, I already installed the VS Code Visual Studio. Directly you can say code dot, automatically it will open your application in the VS Code automatically. No need to open the editor and no need to browse the code. It is shortcut provided by the VS Code to open your application automatically on the Visual Studio editor. Okay, so I will show you the application structure and all. So now see here, this is my Visual Studio Code editor. My app is opened, whatever the app I created. We are not creating this package structure, guys. The Flutter SDK will take care how to create this package structure. Okay, got it what I'm saying? This is a dart tool. This is some internal libraries. This is Android related build. No need to touch this code. This is Android related code, and this is iOS related code. Automatically the code will be separated by the Flutter automatically. No need to touch this dart tool, or no need to touch this Android, no need to touch this iOS, because this is automatically generated. Okay, the test folder is for writing the unit test cases, whatever the unit test cases you want. What are the libraries you are going to use it inside the lib folder? You have to create your code in the lib folder only. You have to prepare your dot code. Actually build means the apk file, whatever the apk file you want to generate it, or whatever it may be, everything will be there in the build folder. This is up to here. The dot, idea, Android, build, iOS, all these folders are internally used by Flutter. No need to touch this. Our thing is you have to write dot code inside the lib folder. Inside the lib folder, you have to write your dot programming code. For the dot code, whatever the code you written, you can write the test cases here, unit test cases, to check whether your logic is working perfectly or not. Okay, this is also a system generated file. So if you click on this main dot, you can see here the code. I already told you, main is an entry point of your application, the entry point, and this run app is nothing but this method is going to execute. This is the Flutter provided thing. This is a lot of code is there. We'll go step by step into all the things and how to write a dot code by using the dot syntaxes, and how to write a Flutter code. We're going to discuss all these things in my classes. Okay, just I shown the demonstration about how the Flutter will work and all, right? So this is about the workshop, mostly what I want to discuss with you people. So guys, if you are more interested in things and all, you can attend to the course. We'll discuss about all the things, and about the point what I'm going to say. We'll talk about more detail about the session, and we'll understand about how we are going to work with the Flutter and all those things. We'll talk about the courses more detail. course details and all the things, you can contact the management. Really, Flutter is very, very important for our application as compared to other frameworks like Ionic and what we discussed up to now. So it is a more interesting and excellent thing what you can do with the Flutter perspective application. Okay, guys. Any more questions, please, before winding up the session? Please let me know. Any more questions? If you are good, we can close the class. Okay, guys. Thank you for coming to my workshop. And if you are interested to learn the course, you can join to my Flutter batch. Going to start in the next week. Thank you.